What's up, everybody? This is Zach with the Nerd Cave Podcast. Today is episode 194. I'm alone, and I'm a little scared, but we're going to traverse this together. And guys, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30 free day trial at www.audibletrial.com/nerdcave. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, and Kindle or MP3 player, and they're all freaking great. Trust me, I love Audible. So, Derek, Robbie abandoned me. I have Allie working the switchboard today, and you can't see her. She's over on the side over here, but she's doing an awesome job. First day at the switchboard. Already killing it. Already doing better than I will ever do. So, you know how this show goes. We talk about all the nerdy news that you need to know. Expanding your mind one nerdy subject at a time. This week has been interesting. Last 2 weeks I've been kind of away from all of the nerdy stuff. I've been doing my real job, and I've been keeping it up from afar. Like I'm that cliche, like funeral in a movie, and that person's like in the background, like watching everything. That's been me the last 2 weeks, but pretty interesting stuff. We got a new Logan trailer this week. We got Power Rangers. We got a lot of gaming news and everything, and we're going to start out with Logan. That's our first news story, and we had a bunch of questions from the Facebook side of it, so I'm going to just read all of these and all that good stuff, and then we'll switch over to the article. Derek Diamond, since he's not here, he sent in a question. Is that, what do you think of Hugh Jackman's comments about Logan not taking place in the X-Men timeline? Do you think it's dumb of them to do or not? Or since the timeline is so confusing, the studio said just screw it and decided to make a story that stands on its own? Then Derek Daniel went on to say, what do you think of the last Logan trailer overall? March can't get here soon enough, which premiere is ironically also the Switch launch date as well. So, to answer Derek's question, I'm actually okay with them not putting it in the same timeline because that timeline is crap. Like they've rebooted it after Days of Future Past, and I can see where people would want them to stay there because they've just rebooted it, and I've only had one movie, but Apocalypse was so I think giving it its own universe, and I think a lot of people are making universes a little bit too big of a deal. Everything has to have a universe now, so kind of giving that standalone thing, just it's there, it's going to be there, and it's going to be awesome. So I'm excited for it, and the trailer, oh my god, that girl slashing throats and killing people, that was freaking awesome. I can't wait to see that. I'm wondering if they're going to continue X-23's story or if it's just going to be that one thing, but it looked freaking great, especially like when that store clerk tries to get her and she just knocks him down and everything. It's going to be awesome. So let's go to the article. Now, in the trailer, Wolverine is holding a comic, and I thought this was pretty cool, and I didn't look into it very closely, and I saw this article about this, and if you look closely over here, you have two comparisons of comics. The one that Hugh Jackman is holding in the trailer, and at the very top it says X-Men Comics Group, and then you compare it to an original Uncanny X-Men as Marvel Comics Group. So what kind of everybody's like, oh, why is this? Well, Marvel's not the one making the movies, but kind of goes in this right here. Marvel has always been the home of the X-Men dating back to their debut in 1963, and the Marvel branding has always been present in the team's books. But 20th Century Fox has the rights to make the X-Men movies, and the behind-the-scenes scuttlebutt is that Fox and Marvel don't necessarily have the greatest working relationship. So it isn't any surprise that Fox would choose not to focus on the Marvel within the narrative confines of Logan. The Marvel logo does appear in the trailer, and the company will be credited in the final film, which is surely a contractual obligation. So I find it pretty interesting that that's even in there, but I understand, like, Marvel has kind of like laid down the law that there are to be no new mutants, because anytime they make a new mutant, that means Fox can grab them and pull them into the universe. So it's pretty interesting there. But I'm glad to see that there is a X-Men comic in a movie, like that they're actually saying that, hey, these comics are based on us. So that was pretty awesome. But moving on, we're going to do the Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's kind of been an interesting topic. Gal Gadot has done a great job in the first movie, and they finally explained who's going to be the villain for the Wonder Woman standalone movie. Wonder Woman villain Ares has been explained. Thanks to some recently leaked info, we know that the Ares, God of War himself, is set to be one of, and probably the main, that he can, whatever. He's going to be the big baddie. Fearsome foe of Wonder Woman in the upcoming feature film starring Gal Gadot as the Amazon Princess and Chris Pine as Steve Trevor. But as we await this latest installment, the unfolding DCEU, moviegoers might be wondering who is Ares, at least in terms of the DC Comics history. So you can throw out all your, your stuff that you know about Greek mythology and your God of War. But his primary role, whether calling himself Ares or Mars, that's the Greek and Roman verses, this godlike being is one of Wonder Woman's most dedicated antagonists, way to be a granddad. So he's their granddad. Ares is father of Diana's mother, Hippolyta. The God of War spends a lot of time making his granddaughter's life a living hell. As his story has changed over the years, his familial connection to Wonder Woman has also been altered, but more on that in a moment. You can see his first appearances. You can talk about his powers. He's virtually immortal, except when he dies. So that doesn't really work out for him that time. And more or less invulnerable, except when he can be hurt or killed. See, comic books, always contradiction, always doing something wrong. Ares can travel to different dimensions, fly, change form, exert control over the living and occasionally the dead, and also possess the usual assortment of super enhanced traits like speed and strength. I think it's pretty interesting. They're kind of focusing on war as the overall thing because Wonder Woman is set in World War I. So who better to be the big bad than the God of War? It just makes sense. So I'm looking forward to seeing who that's going to be. If you want to look more in depth on who Ares is, you can go over to IGN and check that article out. But moving on, Tim Miller did an awesome job with Deadpool. One of the greatest superhero movies I think that's been put out. Funny, entertaining, and now Ryan Reynolds has just crapped on him. That's just me just thinking that. But he's being eyed by somebody. Giving a little eye over there. James Cameron is eyeing Tim Miller to do a Terminator reboot. And if you don't know, James Cameron is regaining the rights to the Terminator in 2019 and is reportedly heading up a reboot that may be helmed by Deadpool director Tim Miller. According to Deadline, Cameron is in early talks with Miller to direct the project, with the rights to the Terminator reverting back to its creator 35 years after the original film debuted in 1984. Now, I find this pretty interesting because the Terminator franchise up until the third movie, so you have Terminator, you have Judgment Day, was great. Those two movies are great. Terminator 1, B movie. There's no doubt about that. Terminator 2, though, Judgment Day, whew, I have memories of those. And then you get to 3, and it's just crap. And then you get to Salvation, and it's And then Genesis could have been amazing. Genesis could have been great. But the marketing gave away the best twist. So I'm curious to see if they make any more Terminator movies before 2019 happens. And James Cameron getting the franchise back is also interesting because he seems to be focusing a lot on Avatar. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. But Tim Miller has an eye for directing. He has an eye for making characters really, really come to life on the big screen. You look at Deadpool, that's a labor of love right there, because you look at X-Men Wolverine, That was pretty bad. That was really bad. So excited for that. One thing that's going to be weird is them rebooting it and it not being Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's going to be weird. I wonder if they bring him back. I'd be curious to see that. So, moving on. This one was pretty interesting this weekend. I've talked about it recently. What I would love for DC to do is kind of change the script here, but I'll talk about that in just a second. Shazam has been split into 2 movies, with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Black Adam getting his own. Just like that, Shazam has switched from a single film to 2 movies. Deadline reports that Dwayne Johnson, so if you say The Rock, you have to pay like WWE or whatever, but anyway, Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam will get his own standalone film of the DC Universe. This will be in addition to the Shazam movie. Johnson met with DC last week about Shazam's Black Adam. Coming out of the conference, he reconfirmed that he was playing the supervillain and sometimes the anti-hero, as well as alluding to the more optimistic and fun tonal shift for the DC cinematic universe. The successful meeting is what apparently led to the Black Adam spin-off film, according to Variety. There is no writer or director attached to the project yet. Shazam is set to arrive on April 5th, 2019, though it's unclear at this time Black Adam will take place, when it will take place. Now, this is interesting because I've said before, I would love The Rock to play Billy and be Shazam. I think that would be the greatest thing in the world. If you haven't watched Central Intelligence, you see how this childlike, he can act like a child, and that's what Billy is. He's a child. And having that moment where Shazam meets Superman, he's like, gee willikers, it's Superman. That would be freaking awesome. But I think he's still going to do amazing as Black Adam. Curious to see what they do here. I wonder if they try to put in a Black Adam movie before Shazam, or if they move Shazam back and then do Black Adam. It'll be interesting. I'm sure if they put Shazam before Black Adam, they'll do a good job of explaining him, but they won't go too in depth because they have, of course, to explain Shazam first, and then the spinoff will be his. And if you don't know, he's like a Egyptian guy, pharaoh. I want to say he was a pharaoh, so pretty interesting. But I'm glad to see that he's still going to be in the movie, that DC is being a little bit more lighthearted. I don't want Marvel again. I get Marvel movies all the time. They get shoved down my throat. I like me some DC. And then speaking of DC, the travesty that was the Green Lantern movie, it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming, and we're getting more and more news. There's some more casting rumors here. They're eyeing people. They're eyeing Ryan Reynolds once again. Seriously. I don't know if the people over there even looked at Deadpool, but they made fun of that movie all the time in Deadpool. But looking at Ryan Reynolds, Tom Cruise, and more up for Hal Jordan, a new report claims some familiar faces and big names are in the mix to play Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. Warner Brothers' big screen version of the DC Comics slated for a 2020 release. According to the Wrap, the studio's short lease is to play Jordan includes Ryan Reynolds, Tom Cruise, Community's Joel McHale, Bradley Cooper, Armie Hammer, and Jake Gyllenhaal. Yes, Ryan Reynolds, he played it in the original one and all of that. They're still in the casting process. It's very early in the stages, and there's been no talk to actors yet. Out of this list, Ryan Reynolds probably won't come back. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. Tom Cruise, I think, is a little old for it. Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't think he would fit into the whole DCU or whatever. That's just my opinion. But, they did put Ben Affleck as Batman. Bradley Cooper, I think, would be pretty interesting. He's got that kind of smart aleck act down pat. He's great as Rocket Raccoon. It'd be interesting to see him on both sides of it. And Armie Hammer, he wasn't He's good. He's a good actor. I'd just be curious to see him in that. The one that I want is Nathan Fillion. Like, he would be absolutely amazing as Hal Jordan. I'm curious to see who they cast as John Stewart. If they're doing the whole core thing, they have to have John Stewart. That's really who the Green Lantern is to a lot of people. So be very curious about that. And moving on to more, we got all the comic news. Peter Dinklage. I love that man. He's probably one of my favorite actors of all time. Just does an amazing job. I loved him as Oliver Trask in Days of Future Past. Did a great job there. And then, of course, Game of Thrones. Just fantastic the whole time as Tyrion Lannister. And you can't forget him in Elf. Did an amazing job there, too. But he's apparently going to be in a Marvel movie. And this looking like he's going to be in Avengers. Earlier this month, Peter Dinklage was reportedly joining the cast of Avengers Infinity War in a mysterious role, and the first clue about his character might have been spotted. In a few photos from Daily Mail, Dinklage can be seen wearing red hair after an appointment at a salon in Manhattan. Though not confirmed, the suddenly change in hair color is most likely related to Dinklage possibly playing either Pip, the Troll, or Star Fox, not the game, as both Marvel characters sport red hair as well. Pip the Troll is a sidekick for the comic relief to Adam Warlock and has been part of the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Infinity Crusade comic book storylines. Star Fox is Thanos' brother and was also an Avenger. It'll be pretty interesting to see what he does. I think if they make him comedic relief completely, it's kind of not using his skill set. He's good at comedic relief, but don't force him to do it all the time. I think you're really losing out on that. But anytime Peter Dinklage is on the screen, I fall in love with his character. So I can't wait to see what he does on that. And I'm getting an ad pop up. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And mentioning shows that I really love, House of Cards is going to be coming out with a season 5. And I know I'm excited for it. I'm totally excited. And what's pretty interesting is when the inauguration was going on, they put out the teaser for season 5 right before Trump took his oath. So it has been revealed, the first trailer, the debut date of the 5th season for House of Cards, with the show focused on President of the United States, Kevin Spacey, as Frank Underwood, as cannot speak today. Obviously, no coincidence. This was revealed on inauguration date. The 5th season will be airing May 30th of this year, and I cannot wait for it. I love it. And if you haven't seen the trailer, it's pretty eerie. It's got all these like little kids singing the Star Spangled Banner. The flag's upside down. You need to watch the show if you haven't. It's great. And all the people protesting, stop. Just stop. Jeez. It's over. It's done. It's whatever. Let's talk about Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan will be getting another movie. The Eastern version, if you watched it, I'm sorry. But hopefully this version is going to be better. Warner Brothers always does pretty good. Warner Brothers is looking to secure the film rights to the popular anime and is it Magna or Manga? Magna? I got like some nasalage going on. Attack on Titan. According to Deadline, the studio is currently in negotiations to acquire the rights with the potential film adaptation to fall under the leadership of Harry Potter and the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them producer David Heyman. Attack on Titan takes place. If you haven't watched it, what are you doing with your life? Like, seriously, it's an amazing freaking anime. Really excited about it. Seeing Warner Brothers try to get the rights, I hope they do, because I think with the right producer, getting the right director that understands the material, and getting actors that will really like get into it, I think it's going to be awesome. Of course, it'll probably be rated R from all of the gore and just action and everything. But I think if they do it right, they can really do a good job of breaking it up into several different films, because there's a lot of stuff to cover here. You could do the very first part, being where the Titans, destroy the wall and the mom dies. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it by now, what are you doing? And then you can show the training, and then you can show like the first mission, and that's the end of it. Okay, and then you get the second movie, and it's like the fight for the next wall or whatever, and then you show Aaron becoming what is it? What is he called? Is he a juggernaut? I don't remember either. But it's really good. And then you have like the female Titan in the third movie, and they're fighting and everything. It'd be freaking amazing. And then the second season's fixing to come out. They're working on it. So you're just getting more and more. Yeah, they're working on it. I'm not going to hold my breath for that one. It's just like another thing we're going to talk about later with the Valve making games. So excited to see this. I hope Warner Brothers gets the rights to it. It's going to be awesome.